Hello everybody, welcome back once again. Got another Octopath Traveler 2 character guide for you here. This time we're talking Partitio. I love Partitio. I think that you'd almost be a fool to not use him at all times. But anyways, let's start off with his actions. So his path action during the day is purchase. This is purchase an item from the belongings of a townsperson. This is just solid, right? You know, no worries about like level restrictions or anything like that. It's just if you've got enough money, you can buy their stuff. So very good path action. Next one is path action at night, which is hire. It says hire and lead a townsperson around. That's kind of interesting, at least in some points in the game. Generally, it's better for the like the quests. Though there are other points where you know, he's got a couple of really specific you know, characters that he can hire that are pretty decent. So there is a merchant, for instance, that gives you 20% off to all of your purchases. That's just, you know, solid. Basically, I used that guy. I mean, I think there's more than one of them, but the one I'm thinking of was from Toto Haha. And again, I used that character basically the entire game. As far as summoning, though, you know, it's been my my issue with all of the summoned NPCs in the game is that they're not consistent in the actions that they perform, but it, you know, kind of is what it is, and they're also not that needed, so it's not that big of a deal. But anyways, all right. So next up is his talent. So it says business partners leverage the talents of your hired helper to enjoy various benefits when shopping and more. That's basically what I was saying earlier with the NPC that is going to give you, you know, cash off. Let's just go over there. I'll just show you that. I genuinely just think that this was probably one of the best characters in the entire game, if I can remember which building he was in. He's in... No, not that one. I don't think he's in a bar. He might be... Is he a weapon shop guy? Nope. It's probably the inn. Bingo! Found him. Alright, so it's this guy here. So yeah, so you can hire this guy. It says Silver Tongue, receive 20% off of purchases. Kind of one other cool thing about this guy is he actually has one of the better skills in the game as well when you actually do summon him, which is Squall of Arrows. It's a multi-hit bow attack. So it does give you a little bit of an option there as well. Again, I don't really love to use NPCs for that because you just don't know what they're going to do. Sometimes they'll use Squall of Arrows, sometimes they won't. So, but yeah, anyways, I think that he is one of the better characters to have honestly at all times. The great part about that is, you know, then you don't have to worry if you're hauling him around. Also, if you're using his purchase ability to, you know, purchase the items from NPCs throughout the game, then you're getting 20% off. So again, very good, you know, character to have hired, and honestly, in my opinion, at all times. Lastly is his latent power, and this is why Partitio is so crazy. He's nigh broken. So whenever you activate his latent power, it just completely fills his BP, which is just crazy, and it makes for a really powerful character the entire game. One of my favorite combos with him actually is actually with just a scholar. I like to have him as a scholar as his secondary job for like random encounters and just kind of like, you know, running around. The reason for that is you can just activate his latent power and blow stuff up, you know, as a with multi-target magic abilities. You know, you don't necessarily have to do that. One of the characters, or one of the combos that I like with him as well, is the Arcanist, and you can kind of do the same thing with that as well. Assuming you have the support skill full power, which I recommend keeping on him at all times. It's just amazing that, you know, the ability to start out every single battle with full latent power, which translates to maximum BP, means that he's just going to, you know, slaughter things. So yeah, so that's definitely something that I recommend. Let's take a look at actually some different jobs here. So as I said, Arcanist I think is actually his best secondary job. The reason for that is if you use Seal of Diffusion, it says extends the reach of skills that only target the user to affect all allies for 3 turns. Basically, what that does is it allows you to use his sidestep ability from his merchant job, and it diffuses that to everybody. So basically, every time you use a sidestep, it affects all of your characters. So all of your characters can avoid one physical attack. Just phenomenal. That combo cheeses so much of the game, it's absurd. So yeah, I think I honestly think that Partitio as Arcanist is probably maybe the cheesiest combo in the entire game. And you know, if you've played Octopath Traveler 1, it's very much like the merchant in that game, Tressa, and if you paired her up with the I think it's the Rune Lord job, she basically does the same thing. So very, very good ability and amazing combo. Actually, though, let me back up. I wanted to let's go over the actual merchant skills as well, because this is going to be a Partitio / merchant video. So Arrow of Fortune. This is okay at the beginning of the game. It says unleash a powerful bow attack on a single foe and receive JP. The more damage you deal, the more JP you receive. Again, I think that this is okay during the beginning of the game, but you just receive so little JP from this that I don't actually honestly think that it's really worth it. You're probably better off, again, leaving him as like a scholar and just having him blow things up and like kill more things, as opposed to try to get every last bit of JP out of every battle, right? That I don't think that makes sense. I think it's really about quantity and killing a lot of enemies, as opposed to, again, using things like that. Rest. Now, Rest is insane. And again, combined with the Arcanist Seal of Diffusion, as long as you have a Seal of Diffusion buff up, not only do you restore your own HP and SP and cure status ailments, but it affects everybody. Which makes also it's absurd that Partitio can actually be a healer, and because of this. So again, phenomenal ability, and you actually start with it. How crazy is that? Collect. I don't really like Collect that much, and I didn't really like it in the first game either, in kind of for the same reason as my issues with Arrow of Fortune. I think you're better off just killing more things, and kind of being done with battles than worrying about getting every single little bit of leaves out of your enemies. My only thing I will say, though, is that this is better when you're facing bosses, because bosses generally tend to have pretty decent amounts of leaves that you can use the Collect ability on. There's also some characters that you can hire that will increase the amount of cash that you get when you use Collect. I don't think they're worth it, though. I think that the other merchant that I already went over earlier is better. So next up is Ember. I don't know, deal fire-based damage to a single foe. I guess this is okay if you're and this is going to be mostly for like a boss battle, right, where you just need to find somebody to deal some fire damage. Okay, cool. This can, I guess, fit the bill a little bit, but generally I don't think this is even worth using, and especially once you get Arcanist. Partitio has better things to do with his turns than using a single target fire spell. Donate BP. This is another amazing skill. 6 SP to grant 1 BP to a single ally. If you use more BP, this will also grant more BP. So for every 1 point of BP that you spend, you will donate an additional BP. So very, very solid ability, and sets up some pretty cool combos as well. If somebody's bottomed out on BP, like Hikari, who is a absolute beast, and you just want to funnel more BP into him, this is the way to do it. Sidestep, again, I've already been over this one, but this is absurd. I mean, 10 SP, dodge 1 physical attack with 100% success rate. This is so good. And especially, again, in combination with Seal of Diffusion, it's like game-breaking, that good. Hired Help. Another pretty solid skill. Pay money to summon Hired Help to the battlefield. There's different, abilities that you can, there's different leave amounts that you can, use, and that will provide all kinds of different stuff. The basic Hired Help is only 150 leaves. It's very cheap, and does a sword attack on all enemies as well as buffs your characters. Hired Help is a very solid ability as long as you've got the cash to fuel it. So yeah, definitely a good one. Bifilgin's Bounty. So deal non-elemental damage to a single foe and receive leaves equivalent to the damage dealt. I basically never used this. Again, my whole deal here is just like kill more things to get cash. Don't worry about screwing around with abilities like this. I guess if you know that you're like about to finish a battle or something, go ahead and use this if you've got enough BP to blow something up and get some extra cash. But generally speaking, I didn't really use that. All right, so as far as Partitio specific abilities as well, Share SP says grant a single ally 25% of your remaining SP. I never use this. I just think that, like, you know, again, once you get diffusion and rest, you can just do this. You can do a better version of this, right? Which doesn't cost Partitio any SP, and you know, just use, you know, rest. So I don't think that's good. Negotiate schedule is kind of interesting. Pay a single foe to let you act during their turn. I rarely use. I think I can count on one hand how many times I use this in the entire game, and I think maybe on like Galdera, right, the hardest boss in the game, this is kind of useful. But in most cases, again, it's kind of the same thing. A lot of times, Partitio just has better things to do with his turns, and so I didn't really find Negotiate Schedule to be that useful. Grows on trees, very, very good at the beginning of the game. Receive additional leaves after battles, but you know, it doesn't do you any good to have multiple characters equipped with that. But I did find this useful, and again, specifically towards the beginning of the game. Midpoint in the game, when I'm really starting to do a lot of farming and stuff, I found that less useful and needed, but it is good. Boost Start, solid ability. This is good on almost everybody. You know, just grants the equipping character 1 BP at the start of battle. Extra BP is good, and is really nice for those random encounters where you just want to blow things up quickly and move on with your life. So a very, very solid skill. Hang Tough, never really use this when the equipping character is not near death, otherwise lethal attacks will instead leave them with 1 HP. I just never really found this that useful. There's just a lot of other support skills that are better, and this just didn't really find a place for most characters. Full Power, on the other hand, another really solid ability. This is amazing on Partitio. Completely fills the equipping character's latent power gauge at the start of battle. Couple of different characters that I find this really, really good on. One is Partitio, one is Temenos, and probably the last one is Casti. Maybe you could make a case for Throne as well, because her latent power is so good, but that's questionable. But regardless, phenomenal ability. This is one of the best support skills in the entire game. I think, honestly, of all of the characters, Partitio is the best candidate for this, but solid for quite a few of the others. But yeah, anyway, so back into the combos. I really do think, I mean, I'm not going to go over Scholar much because I think that's self-explanatory. Just, you know, multi-target elemental attacks, powered by his fully, you know, boosted, I guess because of the fact that he's got full power. It is just phenomenal. It's a very, very good combo. Also, though, the Arcanist, I think, though, the Arcanist is better. You know, even just the two abilities here that he's got. Malice is a dark-based attack, and Blessing is a light-based attack. Dark and light are tough to come by. You know, as far as darkness goes, sure, Casti, if you're going to use her concoctions, she can do some dark attacks, as well as Throne, specifically, can do a, you know, multi-target dark attack. But this one is really solid. Not only does it do deal damage to all foes, but it also restores HP to allies. So it says the more damage you deal, the more HP you restore. You know, Partitio probably does in some way make sense to boost up his elemental attack because of these two abilities. I don't think that it's really needed, and I never really felt like, okay, great, you know, this Malice is going to do so much damage that I won't need to, like, heal or something. I just didn't really find that to be the case. So I wouldn't stress boosting elemental attack just because of these. But it is kind of nice. And so the opposite to Malice, sort of, is Blessing, where deals light-based damage, but also restores SP to allies instead of HP. And same thing, the more damage you deal, the more SP you restore. Again, pretty solid, but the fact that he's got Seal of Diffusion and Rest means that you don't really need to worry about the SP restoration effect of that ability. But, you know, it's nice. Why not? Let's see here. Hex never really used. The reality is with most of this stuff, it's just not that useful because it gets kind of overshadowed by how good Seal of Diffusion and Rest and Sidestep are. But the other really, really good skill that I like in the Arcanist job, and specifically, I guess maybe not specifically Partitio, but having on him is the Reflective Barrier. The thing with a Reflective Barrier, though, is it doesn't work in the same way that Seal of Diffusion does, because Reflective Barrier is a targeted ability, whereas like Sidestep and Rest are self abilities, or self-targeting. So what you need to do if you want to have Reflective Barrier on multiple characters is use the Dancer skill, Seal teaches Seduction. And so if you have, for instance, Agnea as a dancer, well, I mean, I was going to have dancer skills, but if you have her buff Partitio with with Seal teaches Seduction, Reflective Barrier will hit all allies. It's so good. And so basically combine those two combos, right? Seal of Diffusion, Sidestep, and then Seal teaches Seduction and Reflective Barrier, and that means all of your characters are getting the ability to dodge one or more physical attacks, and also reflect elemental attacks being thrown at them. So phenomenal ability. There's so much that this guy can do to protect you and heal you, all rolled into one. And again, that is one of the reasons why I definitely suggest using actually Partitio the entire game. I wouldn't even bother taking him out because he's so good. Another kind of crazy thing is Seal of Eternity. Indefinitely extend the duration of a random positive status effect on a single ally. So Seal of Eternity has a couple of really good uses. Basically extending certain things, like one of the really good ones to extend is Alfric's Blessing. So it says grant a single ally the ability to act again at the end of a turn for 3 turns. The thing with Seal of Eternity, though, is you have to. It's best to not have too many buffs if you're trying to extend them, right? So like if you're all I don't know, let's just say that you use Oswald to use Stroke of Genius and stack up like 5 different buffs on yourself. Seal of Eternity is going to pick one at random to extend indefinitely. So again, you just have to be really careful about how you actually use this, because otherwise it's not going to do what you want it to, right? You're going to be extending things like evasion buffs or something that, don't really matter that much. And also, it doesn't work on certain buffs. Like, it doesn't work on Sidestep. It doesn't work on Reflect. It doesn't work on Divine Protection, that Hikari crazy skill. It doesn't work on, and Aliphan's Wisdom, for instance, as well. It doesn't work on abilities that basically don't count down and are kind of indefinite until used. Maybe that's not a great way of describing it, but basically like a Lion's Dance is a physical attack buff, but it counts down, right, every turn. So it'll wear off no matter what, as long as turns pass. It counts down, whereas Aliphan's Wisdom will stay on you permanently until you actually use it. So those buffs that basically are used cannot be extended by using Seal of Eternity, whereas things like Lion's Dance, Peacock Strut, those sort of things where those will just count down, those can be extended. So, but anyways, solid skill anyway. All right, so really quickly, let's go through his support skills. This is basically how I've got him set up. Vigorous Victor, Step Ahead, Life in the Shadows, and then Full Power. Basically, his 3, I think, key ones are Vigorous Victor, Step Ahead, and Full Power. Vigorous Victor you don't really need for boss battles, but it's really good for just random encounters. Step Ahead is always good no matter what. Life in the Shadows, this is actually, you can swap this out. If you've got some other character with Life in the Shadows, then obviously you don't need to have it on him. You could do things like Grows on Trees, right? This one's kind of just a... whatever, do whatever you want here. Kind of one of the interesting things too that you could do, that I don't usually do though, is you could do Boost Start instead. I don't really find that as good of an idea, because I always love Full Power. Basically for random encounters especially, Full Power is phenomenal. It basically just lets you, nuke the crap out of everything right away, right? You just activate his latent power, boom, you've got full BP, full, beef up whatever skill it is that you're going to use and just let the enemies have it, right? And so things like boost start isn't as important, especially, again, for random encounters. The time where boost start may come in handy would be like a boss battle where the first turn I would do a fully boosted Seal of Diffusion, and then on the second turn, since I had activated the BP, I wouldn't gain that BP anyway, and so the latent power then being fully charged would be able to cap me out on BP again, and then I could use a fully charged sidestep. But that's very situational and really up to you on whether or not you find that good enough to use that combo. But that's pretty much it. There isn't much else as far as equipped skills that I ever use for Partitio because these ones are so solid. Let's just do a really quick battle here. I want to show you some of these combos. Let's do a pomegranate on her to get her some more BP.
Here I come.
And I'm just going to defend with Hikari. And alright, so generally especially like boss battles, yeah, I should say, my boss battles basically play out the same way with using a buffed up Seal of Diffusion and then using sidesteps. If I was just going to do a random encounter, I would just use his latent power right away, use Malice or Blessing and then try to blow everything up. But since this is just a random encounter, I'm going to do more of my setup for a boss battle, which again is going to be a Seal of Diffusion. That's going to give him like, what, 4 stacks? Oh, actually 5 stacks of that. Let's just defend here with Temenos. We'll get him buffed up also. Alright, so let's use Elfrix here on Partitio. We'll do the first combo here. Yeah, with him, which is going to be the Seal of Eternity and Elfrix. So we'll go into Arcanist skills, and we'll just use... Oops, gotta plus that latent power. Normally, though, I wouldn't do this. Normally, I would actually start out with sidesteps, because I've got Jesus, what is Seal of Diffusion on him, right? So that'll make sidesteps hit everybody. Normally, that's how I would start, but just for the sake of showing this combo, I'm going to do the Seal of Eternity. So right now he's got a chance of doing, and yeah, it picked the grants an extra action at the end of the turn. I don't know. It's just a phenomenal combo. Now that was kind of just luck. I think I'm fairly certain anyway that Seal of Eternity could have chosen my diffusion buff instead, because diffusion is always counting down. It's just a buff that runs out eventually, and so that could have been targeted, but I just got lucky there and it picked Elfrix instead. But anyways, we'll defend one more time here with Agnea, and I'll get my sidestep combo going here first, and then I'll do the reflect combo second. So let's go with, again, I'm gonna do sidesteps here. This will give everybody the sidesteps again because I've got Seal of Diffusion up. And you can see Seal of Diffusion has ticked down a little bit as well. There it flashed at 3 turns left. At this point, what we need to do is put a Seal Tiege's Seduction on Partitio. And then I need to give him some BP because he's not going to have enough BP to do what I want. So let's do, yeah, we'll do the energizing. I like how he apologizes too every time. I guess it's every character, right? They apologize when you have to heal or like restore BP or anything like that. They're random, just kind of funny. Alright, so here the next combo is again Seal Tiege's Seduction, which is required for this because Reflective Barrier does not work with Seal of Diffusion. Seal of Diffusion only affects those like self buffs. So let's do Reflective Barrier here. Again, this is now going to target everybody because I've got Seal Tiege's up. And now, boom, everybody can avoid physical hits, and everybody can reflect spells. And that's pretty much it. Again, just, it's kind of broken how good this combo is, and it's the combo itself is almost just Partitio himself, right? You really only need that dancer if you want to do the multiple, if you want to do like a multi-part or a party-wide reflect buff, right? So, you know, again, I can't state how good he is and how powerful that combo with him as Arcanist is. But anyways, that is going to be it for this one. So as always, I hope the guide was helpful, and thanks for watching.